Hello all, welcome to the course of Ethical Hacking and Penetration Testing. By the end of this course, I'll promise you that you'll learn all the required and necessary skills which are essential to be an advanced ethical hacker and pen tester, which are much needed in the today's cyber world. So, let's discuss about what is actually meant by ethical hacking and penetration testing. Ethical hacking refers to the practice of legally and responsibly probing computer systems and networks for security weakness. These are actually performed by ethical hackers, also known as white hat hackers. Coming to its goal, ethical hacking is used to identify vulnerabilities before malicious hackers can actually exploit them. It is authorized and controlled with the intent of improving security. Coming to the penetration testing, it is also known as the subset of ethical hacking. It is a controlled and systematic simulation of real-world cyber attacks. The main object of penetration testing is to assess the security of a system, application, or network within an organization. It aims to identify vulnerabilities, exploits them to test defenses, and provides recommendations for mitigations. So, why do actually companies hire ethical hackers and penetration testers? First comes the risk mitigation. In order to reduce the risk of data breaches, financial losses, and reputational damage by proactively addressing security flaws. Coming to security assessment, to evaluate the vulnerabilities in their systems, networks, and applications, helping identify weakness before malicious hackers could actually exploit them. Next comes the protection of customer data. In order to safeguard sensitive customer information and maintain trust by ensuring robust security measures are in place. Next comes the incident response. To develop incident response plans and assess the organization's ability to detect and respond to security incidents effectively. Lastly, continuous improvements. To continually improve and adapt security measures as new threats and vulnerabilities emerge. In order to address all the mentioned issues, companies do need ethical hackers as well as well-trained penetration testers. Now let's discuss about the types of hackers. First comes the white hat hacker. So, what does the white hat hacker actually mean? It is a form of ethical hacker who use the skills to protect systems and networks. They are typically hired by organizations to find and fix security vulnerabilities. Now coming to the black hat hackers, these are the malicious hackers who engage in illegal activities for personal gain or harm. They are often involved in cyber crimes such as data theft, fraud, or cyber attacks. Now coming to the grey hat hackers, these are the hackers who operate in a morally ambiguous space, sometimes without authorization. They may disclose vulnerabilities to organizations after finding them, but without permission. Next, coming to script kiddie, these are inexperienced hackers who rely on pre-written scripts and tools. They lack advanced hacking skills and often engage in low-level cyber attacks. Now, coming to suicidal hackers, these are the hackers who intentionally engage in high-risk activities with little regard for consequences. They may engage in hacking that could lead to several legal consequences or personal harm. Next comes the state-sponsored hackers. Hackers employed or sponsored by governments to conduct cyber espionage or warfare often target other nations' critical infrastructure, organizations, or military systems. Now comes the cyber terrorist. These are the individuals or groups who use hacking techniques to create fear and disrupt society. Their actions may have political, ideological, or religious motivations. Lastly, hacktivists. These are similar to activists who use hacking skills to promote social or political causes. They engage in digital protests, defacement, or cyber attacks to raise awareness or advocate for their beliefs. Next, let's discuss about red teams versus blue teams. Red team's actual goal is an offensive goal. They aim to find vulnerabilities and exploit them to test a system's security, while the blue team has a defensive goal, focused on protecting against cyber attacks and threats. Coming to the objective of red team, the red team conducts activities like penetration testing and ethical hacking to discover weaknesses in the system, while the blue team's objective is responsible for monitoring systems, detecting and responding to incidents, and implementing security measures to defend against cyber attacks. And the role of red team acts as an adversarial entity simulating potential attackers to evaluate an organization's security posture, while the blue team's role takes on a defensive role safeguarding systems and networks from potential threats. The activities of red teams involve actively trying to breach security defenses, attempting to compromise systems, and providing feedback on vulnerabilities. While the blue team's activities include continuous monitoring, incident response, patch management, and implementing security best practices to maintain a secure environment. Thank you. We'll discuss much more detail in the coming modules. That's all for now. Hello all. Now we'll discuss about the term what does cybersecurity mean? In short, cybersecurity refers to the protecting of digital assets from threats, ensuring confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data. It includes employing layers of defense to safeguard systems from cyber threats. It do comply with regulations to maintain trust and security. There are three major pillars of cybersecurity, which refers to CIA threat, which means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three should be followed and should be kept in mind whenever we are dealing with any sort of cybersecurity rules as well as policies. First comes confidentiality, which means keeping data privacy, which refers to keeping sensitive data private. Next comes the encryption, which means protecting data with unreadable formats. Next comes access controls, which means we always have to limit data access to only authorized users. Lastly, data classification, which means we as a cybersecurity person need to prioritize protection based on data sensitivity. Now let's talk about integrity. In integrity, we need to maintain data accuracy, which means we need to ensure data always remains unchanged. Next, hash functions, which means we always need to detect unauthorized changes in the data. Next comes the version control, which means managing changes to data and software up to date. Lastly, digital signatures, which means we always have to verify data authenticity. Now let's talk about availability. Firstly, uptime and redundancy, which means we always keep our systems accessible to the end user. Next comes the DDoS mitigation, which means we need to defend against overwhelming attacks. Next comes the backup and recovery, which means we need to quickly restore data and systems in case of any breach. Next, load balancing. We always have to distribute network traffic evenly among users. Thank you. We'll discuss about the upcoming topics in detail in the next videos. Hello all. Now, in this video, we'll discuss about what are the different phases involved in hacking. Hacking typically involves several phases which are often referred to as hacking lifecycle or hacker's methodology. These phases provide a structured approach for hackers to follow when attempting to compromise a system or network. The phases are as follows. First comes the reconnaissance or footprinting. Reconnaissance, also known as information gathering, it is the first phase of hacking. In this phase, the hacker collects as much information as possible from the target system or the network. Techniques used in this phase include scanning the internet for publicly available information, conducting who-is domain searches, social engineering, and searching for vulnerabilities. Next comes the scanning or enumeration. In this phase, the hacker scans the target system or network for vulnerabilities and open ports. Port scanning tools like Nmap are most commonly used. The goal is to identify potential entry points or weaknesses in the target's security. Third comes the gaining access. Once vulnerabilities are identified, the hacker attempts to exploit them to gain unauthorized access to the target system or network. This phase can involve various techniques such as exploiting software vulnerabilities, brute forcing passwords, or using social engineering to trick individuals into revealing their credential information. Next comes maintaining access. After gaining access, the hacker seems to maintain a persistent presence on the target system or network, ensuring that they can run and continue their activities even if the initial compromise is detected and remediated. Techniques used here often involve installing backdoors, rootkits, or other forms of malware. Next comes covering tracks. In this phase, the hacker tries to erase or obfuscate evidence of their presence and activities on the compromised system or network. Activities may include deleting log files, altering timestamps, and making it difficult for investigators to trace their actions. Next comes reporting. In ethical hacking or penetration testing, this phase involves documenting the vulnerabilities and exploits used during the assessment. The ethical hacker provides a detailed report to the organization outlining the security weaknesses discovered and suggesting remediation measures. Organizations hire ethical hackers to identify and address vulnerabilities in their systems to protect against malicious hackers. In next video, we'll discuss about each phase of hacking in detail. Thank you. Hello all. Now we'll discuss about the first phase of ethical hacking known as reconnaissance. Information gathering and getting to know the target systems is the first process in ethical hacking. Reconnaissance is a set of processes and techniques used to discover and collect information about target system. Reconnaissance refers to the first phase of an attack where threat actors gather information about the target. This phase is crucial for attackers to understand the target vulnerabilities and potential attack vectors. Reconnaissance involves cyber attackers to use various tools and techniques during this phase, such as port scanning, network mapping, vulnerability scanning, and information gathering through search engines and social engineering. These tools help attackers identify weaknesses that can be exploited in later stages of an attack. Attackers often leverage open source intelligence, which is called as OSINT framework, which is publicly available information to gather data about the target. This can include information from websites, social media, job postings, news articles, and many more. It is valuable for building a profile of the target and identifying potential attack vectors. Now let's discuss about the reconnaissance methodology. First comes gathering of information about a particular person or an organization. Next, we'll determine the network range, after which we'll identify the active machines. On the active machines, we'll discuss and discover open ports and access points. Next comes fingerprinting the operating system, after which we'll uncover the services on ports using tools such as Nmap. Lastly, we'll map the network. There are two types of reconnaissance known as active reconnaissance and passive reconnaissance. Passive reconnaissance involves gathering information without directly interacting with the target, such as by using publicly available information on websites or social media. Whereas, on the other hand, active reconnaissance involves more direct probing of target systems, often using tools and techniques that may leave traces and alert defenders. And speaking about active reconnaissance, it involves direct interaction in which attackers used techniques such as port scanning, network probing, banner grabbing to actively gather information. This interaction may trigger alerts in intrusion detection systems. Next comes the port scanning. It allows attackers to send packets to various ports on the target system to determine which ports are open and what services are running. Other active reconnaissance include vulnerability scanning, which includes scanning for known vulnerabilities in the target software and systems. Attackers use scanning tools to identify weaknesses that can be exploited in later stages of an attack. Lastly, traffic analysis. Attackers may perform traffic analysis by intercepting and analyzing network traffic to gather information about the target's communication patterns, systems in use, and potential weak points. Now, on discussing about passive reconnaissance, it involves non-intrusive reconnaissance methods such as involving gathering information without direct interaction with the target, making it less likely to trigger alerts or raise suspicion. Next comes the open source intelligence. It involves collecting information from social media, public databases, news articles, and many more. Next comes the social engineering. Passive reconnaissance often include gathering information through social engineering techniques. These may involve phishing attacks which may trick an individual into revealing login credentials or sensitive data. Next comes network sniffing. Attackers may also use network sniffing tools to intercept and analyze network traffic passively. This can reveal potentially available vulnerabilities or misconfigurations and can provide insights into network architecture. Thank you. We'll discuss about footprinting in the upcoming video. Hello all. In this video, we'll discuss about footprinting in complete detail. So what is actually meant by footprinting? Footprinting is also a part of reconnaissance process which is used for gathering possible information about a target computer system or the network. Footprinting could also be both active as well as passive. Active footprinting involves direct contact with the target, whereas in passive footprinting do not involve direct contact with the target. Now, mainly footprinting is used to understand the target's digital presence, infrastructure, and potential weaknesses present. So, the key objectives of footprinting involve network discovery, which means we'll determine the network's architecture, IP addresses, subnets, and other connected devices. This helps attackers identify potential weak entry points. Next comes the DNS enumeration. Here, we'll gather information about the target's domain, DNS records such as domain names, subdomains, and associated IP addresses. And footprinting also involves who is lookup, which means we'll collect information about the domain registrations, including the owner's names, contact details, and registration dates. Next comes the website analysis. Here, we'll analyze the target websites and web applications of which we'll identify server types and technologies they use. Next, moving on, footprinting also involves social engineering, which means gathering information from publicly available sources like social media profiles, job postings, and employee directories to craft attack strategies or gain unauthorized access. Next comes email harvesting. Here, attackers perform collecting email addresses of target personnel for potential spear phishing attacks. Next, search engine queries. We'll use search engines to find sensitive information such as login pages, sensitive documents, or exposed configuration files. Lastly, competitive intelligence. It involves gathering information about a competitor's digital assets, technologies, and strategies they implement. We'll see the practical demonstration of footprinting in the next video. Thank you.
Hello all, welcome to the practical demonstration of footprinting. In this footprinting, we'll cover Google Docs, ping scan, whois lookup, and finding website information using tools such as Netcraft, as well as we'll find the employees working within an organization and their emails using this website, that is app.prospero.io, as well as we can find the website which is using various technologies using tools such as W3Text. So heading over to the practical demonstration, first I'll show you how can you use Google Docs. So Google Docking is nothing but it involves an advanced search of operators to find specific information on the internet. We'll see the first Google Docking command, that is file type. I'll search for a PDF related to cybersecurity. So you can see we can get various links related to PDFs of cybersecurity. So I've already downloaded this. I'll show you the document. So in this manner, you can use file type command to extract various files from the internet. Next Google Docking command, which we will look into it, is in title. What this command does is it looks for pages with a specific keyword in their title. As you can see, I have given the in title as indeed.com. So you can see over here all the websites which contains the title indeed.com is listed over here. And moving on to the next Google Docking command, which we will use is in URL. This command finds URLs that contains the specific keyword. I type in URL as login. So what it does is the websites which contain the title as login, which will be displayed over here. So I'll open this website. As you can see, it is asking for an email and a password to log in. Next docking command, which we will look into it, is info. We can find information of any website using this info Google Docking command. As you can see, if we want to extract information about any organization, we can just use the Google Docking info command, and you can see all the information related to the organization listed over here. This is just a basic info. We'll see how we can get more information of a specific organization in the later video. Now, there is a platform called as Buckroute. Here, they list what all websites you need to find vulnerabilities, and by reporting those vulnerabilities, you will be rewarded an award. So here, you need to log in, after which they'll be giving us a program. You can see in the scope and rewards, there is a bug bounty program which is posted by indeed.com, and so we can test this website for ethical purposes. So moving on, there is a website called as whois. Like this website basically shows all the information related to a specific website, like when it has registered, when the domain will get expired, who is the owner of this website, and many more. So I have typed indeed.com, and you can see here you will get all the information related to indeed.com. Here you can see the name of the registrar info, that is Mark Monitor, and the whois server, as well as you can see it expires on the given date, as well as when it has been registered and when it is updated. You can also see the name servers listed over here, and you can see the contact info as well as an email hosted over here. You can get some information related to the indeed.com. So moving on, there is a similar type of website called as netcraft.com. Here also you can do the similar stuff which we have did in whois lookup. So here we will start by typing indeed.com, and we'll click on analyze. And as you can see, it is processing the information and it will show us all the related info related to indeed.com, such as we can get the public IPv4 address as well as it is using a service which is Cloudflare, and you can also see the DMARC records as well as the technologies which are used over here, that is JavaScript, which is client-side technology, as well as the CDN, the content delivery network, which is Cloudflare, and the character encoding is UTF-8, and it is using a HTML5 version. Yeah, by using this Netcraft website, you can get some information related to Indeed.com, which is a part of footprinting. Next, moving on, I'll also show you the purpose of ping command. So if I type ping indeed.com, it will show us if the website hosted is active or not. So as you can see, we are getting reply from the website server. And the most important thing here you have to learn is TTL. TTL is also known as time to live. It is like a ping scan, which is a countdown timer for network packets. If the TTL reaches zero before reaching its destination, the packet is discarded. This also helps us to reveal the network infrastructure and distance to a target device. And also you can see the ping statistics and the approximate round trip times listed over here. You can get the public IPv4 address of Indeed.com. Next, moving on, there is a website called as w3text.com. Here you can find all the information which the website is using, like the backend as well as front-end technologies, as well as other technologies which are used by the website. So I'll type indeed.com and I'll click on site info. As you can see, they are using the content management system known as Zendesk, and the server-side programming language used is Ruby. We have also seen in the netcraft.com that the client-side programming language they're using is JavaScript, and the library also listed over here, which is jQuery, and many more. As you can see, the SSL certificate authorities which they are using as of now is IdenTrust. So you can get to know all the required and necessary information and technologies which are used by the website or the organization by using w3text.com. Moving on, if you want to find the emails of persons working within an organization, you can use this website called as app.prospero.io. So here you can find the emails of the employees which are working in this organization. So I'll type indeed.com and click on find emails. You can get the company emails which are a part of indeed.com, as well as some of the employee emails who are currently working in Indeed. And if you wanted to verify if the email given is valid or not, you can just click verify over here. So it is showing as invalid. but some of the emails are valid, which we'll look into it. Like, see, this email is as of now working and it's valid. So, in this manner, you can find emails of an organization, and this can be used by an illegal persons to send some of sort of phishing mails to the HR authority working within an organization. And if the HR authority didn't check for any malware residing in the emails, their organization may be prone to any sort of cyber attack. But for the testing purpose, we have seen how can we do footprinting as well as reconnaissance for a particular organization, and we can use this information for the later phases of hacking as well as pen testing, which we'll discuss in the upcoming videos. Thank you for now.
Hello all. In this lecture, we'll discuss about the second phase of methodology known as scanning. So, what does scanning mean? Scanning in terms of ethical hacking refers to the process of systematically searching for vulnerabilities and weaknesses residing within computer systems, networks, or applications. It is crucial in ethical hacking methodology where security professionals use various tools and techniques to identify potential security issues that could be exploited by malicious attackers. Let's discuss about the different types of scanning performed. Firstly, port scanning. So, what does port scanning mean? In this type of scanning, we will be detecting open ports and the services running on the target system. Next, coming to the network scanning, we will be discovering IP addresses as well as operating system details and the topology details, including the trusted routers information. And coming to vulnerability scanning, here we will be scanning for known vulnerabilities or weaknesses residing within target system. We'll discuss about each scanning in detail in the next lectures by performing practical demonstration. Thank you. Hello all. In this lecture, I'll be showing you how you can perform an interface scanning as well as a specific IP range scanning using the netdiscover command. So heading over to the terminal, I'll be first checking over my IP address, for which the command is ipconfig. You can see it is connected to the interface Ethernet 0 and my IP address is listed over here 192.168.0.111. So I'll be copying this IP address, and this is the subnet mask related to my IP address. Now I'll be opening a new tab in the terminal, and next I'll type the command netdiscover. For specifying the interface, we should go -i. Next, the interface name, that is ETH0. Next, I'll be clicking over enter. So it will list out all the IP address within our local network. So as you can see over here, there are two IP addresses. That means there are two more devices connected within my network. And I'll show you the next command by which you can find the specific IP range for a given subnet. So netdiscover -r, and since my IP address is 192.168.0.111, so here I'll be giving my IP address as 192.168.0.0/24, which means 192, 168 and 0 will be excluded, and the last part will go from 1 to 254. So 192.168.0.1 to 192.168.0.254. Up to these IP addresses it will scan. So I'm performing the scanning, and as you can see, it has again detected two IP addresses within my network, that is a given IP range. So by using this net discover scan, you can basically identify and list active devices and their IP addresses connected by our local network, that is the same network as our computer is in. And by this command, like -r, by using the -r command, we will be specifying a specific IP range, and this lists out the active devices within a subnet. So that's all for now. We'll discuss more detail and more practical demonstrations in the upcoming lectures. Thank you. Hello all. In this lecture, we'll be discussing about the different types of scanning available. So first we'll move on to the first type of scanning using Nmap. So this Nmap tool is pre-installed with Kali Linux, and this can be used to find various ports within the target system. So after doing netdiscover scan within my local host, I have discovered three types of IP addresses in which I'll be performing port scanning on the last IP. So first I'll type nmap, and then we'll specify the IP address which we want to scan. So that is 192.168.0.107. Next, when I click on enter, it will scan the first 1000 ports within the target system. So I'm clicking on enter. As you can see, these are all the open ports which are residing within my target system. So 9 out of 1000 ports, 977 ports are closed, and the rest all ports are open. Next, moving to the next type of scan, which is we'll be doing fast scan on a target IP. This fast scan will tell us the first 100 important ports residing within a target system. So I'll type nmap. Next I'll specify F, and next our IP address, the target IP address. So I'll click on enter. As you can see, it will specify the 100 important ports within my target system, and out of which 82 ports are closed. And the protocol used here is TCP. Next, moving to the another type of scan, which is the service version scan. By using the service version scan, we can find out the versions of different services running within a target system, which can be used in the later stages to exploit the target system. So I'll be performing the service version scan now. For service version scan, we'll be first giving small s and capital V, proceeding with the IP address. Now I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see here, there are different services running and their versions are listed over here. So this can be used by the malicious attackers or the ethical hackers to find potential weaknesses which can be used to exploit the target system. Now we'll perform the OS discovery scan. This scan is used to discover which operating system is running on a target system. So the command is nmap capital O, and we'll be specifying the target IP address. As you can see here, it is saying the target is running on the Linux and the version number. This cannot be the exact operating system running on the target system, but this can be a nearly 90% accurate information which is given by the nmap. And as you can see, the service version can be within the range 2.609 to 2.6.33. Next, we'll be performing an aggressive scan. What this aggressive scan does is it will tell us the operating system details and the service version details, as well as for each service it will give a detailed description of how the service is working and the additional information which is required to exploit the service which is residing within the target system. So I'll be performing nmap -a and next the target IP address. This service version could take some time, so I'll be specifying the time flag as T4. Next, I'll be clicking on enter. The scanning has started. It will take some time. Yeah, you can see here the detailed information of each and every service for the target system is given by using the tag -a, which stands for aggressive scan. You can see for the port 21, which is running a service FTP, and the detailed description of the service is given over here. Similarly, the SSL versions and many more. And you can see here the MAC address and the OS version, as well as the system name and many more. So moving on to the next type of scan, which is if we want to scan for any specific port, then we can specify the command as -p, after which the port we want to scan. So I'll be scanning for the port 80 and I'll be specifying the target IP address and I'll click on enter. As you can see, for that specific port, nmap will scan and it will return the results. And for the port 80, it is using a TCP protocol and it is saying the state is open and the service running on it is HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So that's all for now. We'll look into more such type of scannings in detail in the further lectures. Thank you. Hello all. Now we'll discuss about how the connection gets established between two parties. So in order to first understand the connection establishment, you need to first learn the TCP flags which are most crucial for the data transmission within a network. So here first we'll discuss about the SYN flag. This flag is used to initiate a new TCP connection, and when a new device wants to start a connection, it sends a packet with the SYN flag set along with an initial sequence number. Next comes the ACK flag, which stands for acknowledgement. This flag is used to acknowledge the successful receipt of data. It is typically set in response to a receipt packet with the SYN or FIN flag. And lastly, RST flag, which stands for reset. This RST flag is used to reset a connection or indicate an error. It can be used when there's a problem with the connection or when a device receives a packet for a connection that doesn't exist. Now we'll learn how the TCP connection gets established. Firstly, the initiating device sends a TCP packet with the SYN flag set to request a connection. Next, the receiving device responds with a packet containing both SYN and acknowledgement flags to acknowledge the request and establish the connection. Lastly, the initiating device acknowledges the response by sending a packet with the ACK flag set. The connection is now established. We'll discuss about the more detail about the various types of scanning involved in the further lectures. Thank you. Hello all. In this lecture, we'll be looking into the more advanced type of scans which can be used to find or gather the additional information within a target system. These scans can also be used to bypass the firewall or the IDS systems, which are intrusion detection systems, which are preventing from scanning the target system. So while coming to the first advanced scan, which is TCP connect scan, this is similar to the normal connection establishment scan, where the sender device will be sending a SYN packet to the target's device, and the target device will be responding with the SYN and ACK packet, and the sender device will be responding with an acknowledgement packet. So, for showing you the practical demonstration, I'll be opening the Wireshark, which is used to capture packets traveling within a network, and I'll be selecting the interface, which is ETH0. Here, I'll enter my target IP address. This is like a filtering. I'll be entering my target IP address, which is 192.168.0.107, and after I'll be clicking on enter. Now I'll be seeing all the packets traveling in and out from a Kali machine to the vulnerable machine, which in this demonstration I am using Metasploit build 2. Now I'll be performing the TCP connect scan of full scan, which is nmap -smallest capital T. Next, the port which I want to scan, I'll be scanning the port 80 and the IP address of a target system. Now I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see, the packets are captured by the Wireshark, and first the SYN packet has been initiated from our Kali machine. Next, the metasploitable or the vulnerable machine has responded with a SYN and ACK packet, after which our calling machine has responded with an acknowledgement and the connection got finally reset. Now moving on to the next type of scan, which is TCP half connect scan or the stealth scan. What this scan does is it will be first sending a SYN packet from our machine to the target machine, and the target machine will also be responding with the SYN and ACK packet, after which our machine, that is the host machine, which is trying to scan the target, will be sending an RST packet by which the logs won't get detected in the IDS or the firewall of the target machine. So I'll be typing the command nmap hyphen small s capital S, and I'll be specifying the port which I want to scan, which is hyphen p and 80, and I'll be giving the target IP address. And here I'll be clearing out all the data. Now I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see, we have performed a stealth scan. Here the SYN packet is initiated from a device, after which the SYN and ACK packet is received from the target system, and at last our device has sent an RST packet by which the logs or any additional information which we are trying to gather will not be logged into the IDS or firewall of the target system. Moving on to the next type of scan, which is TCP acknowledgement scan. What the scan does is our system will be sending an ACK packet directly to the target system, and the target system will get confused because first we have to send SYN and then it will be responding with the SYN plus ACK. But in this case, we are first sending an acknowledgement packet for which the target system gets confused and it will be sending a RST packet. By this scanning, we can ensure that whenever the target system replies with an RST packet, we can make sure that the port or the service is running and it's open. So moving on to the TCP acknowledgement scan, nmap hyphen small s capital A and hyphen p, and we'll be specifying the port and next the IP address. I'll be again clearing out the data. Next I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see, the acknowledgement packet is sent from our system and the target system got responded with an RST packet, and we can make sure that the port or the service which we are trying to access is open. Next I'll show you the last type of advanced scan, which is UDP scanning, for which I'll type the command nmap hyphen small s capital U, and I'll be again specifying the port and the IP address of our target system. Now I'll be clicking on enter. I'll clear the logs here and again I'll perform the scan so that you can see it clearly. So as you can see here, it is using the UDP protocol and it is using an ICMP protocol as well, and it says the destination port is unreachable. So by this we can ensure that it is kind of a filtered port. So this is the UDP scanning, and by using these advanced scan we can get to know the target's open ports as well as the services, along with the additional information which can be used in the later phases of ethical hacking and pen testing into the target system. Thank you. We'll look into more additional concepts and the further phases in detail in the further lectures. Hello all. Now we are in the third phase of ethical hacking and pen testing module, which is vulnerability scanning. So what is actually meant by vulnerability scanning? Vulnerability scanning is also known as vulnerability assessment, which is an automated process of identifying network, application, and security vulnerabilities. These are usually performed by the IT team of an organization or a third party security service provider. This scan is also performed by attackers who is trying to find potential entry points within the organization's network or the infrastructure. Now, let's discuss about the benefits of vulnerability scanning. Firstly, it helps to identify potential targets, which means by scanning networks and systems for vulnerabilities, ethical hackers can identify potential targets that are vulnerable to attack. Next comes assessing the security of systems. Vulnerability scanning can also be used to assess the overall security posture of a system. Ethical hackers can help organizations to understand the security posture and to identify areas where they need to improve. Lastly, verifying the success of attacks. Ethical hackers also use vulnerability scanners to verify that their own attacks have been successful. For example, if an ethical hacker is able to exploit a vulnerability residing within a system to gain unauthorized access, they can use a vulnerability scanner to verify that the vulnerability is still present and it can be exploited by other malicious attackers. You need to make a note that ethical hackers and pen testers must always obtain permission from the owner of a system before actually scanning it. They must also be careful not to disrupt the operation of the system or access any sensitive data. Next, vulnerability scanning can be used to identify a wide range of vulnerabilities such as software vulnerabilities, hardware vulnerabilities, and network configuration vulnerabilities. They can also be used to scan a wide variety of systems such as computers, networks, servers, and web applications. We'll discuss about the practical demonstration of vulnerability scanning using tool Nexus in the further demonstration videos. Thank you. Hello all, welcome back. Now in this video, we'll be discussing about how we can perform vulnerability scanning on any website or an IP address. So for the practical demonstration purpose, I'll be using the tool called as Nexus. So in the Google you can type Nexus download. So you can head over to the first link, after which you can select your Windows operating system, which is 32-bit or 64-bit according to your system configuration, and you can choose the latest version of the Nexus and you can click on download. I have already downloaded the Nexus and I have proceeded with the installation, and you can also follow the similar steps which are given in this website. So firstly, after downloading, you can just click on next, and yeah, you can accept the agreement and click on next. You can leave the default path and you can click on next, after which you can proceed to the installation. At last you can click on finish. Now it will directly get opened in a web browser, and the web page is gonna look like this. Or if the Nexus isn't opened in your browser page, then you can manually type in the local host or the URL which is specified here. This is the default port at which the Nexus will initialize. Next, after Nexus is open, you can just click on connect via SSL, and you can select the Nexus Essential, which is free for demonstration purpose. And in the next step, you need to register with your credentials, and the email should be a work mail. So you shouldn't give your personal mail ID. Rather, you can use the temporary mail ID, which I am specifying over here, that is temp mail. You can use this website to generate a temporary email address, and this email can be used for the registration purpose in Nexus. So you can just copy this, and you can just type your first and the last name. You can give any random name of your choice, and you can paste the mail address which we have copied over here. After which we'll be getting an activation code to that mail. It will be shown over here, and after entering that activation code, we'll be clicking on continue. Next, it will ask us to create an account. You can type in a username and a password of your choice, and after clicking on submit, it will download the plugins which is required, after which the Nexus page will be opened. So I'll show you the Nexus page, which will be in this manner. And after compiling of the plugin system, you can click on new scan, and you can head over to the advanced scan option, after which you can give any name of your choice, and you can specify the target IP address. So the target address here is, which we are going to scan for vulnerabilities, is testphp.vulnerweb.com. This is used for the testing purpose. You can just copy this website and head over to the Nexus tab, and you can just paste the address, and make sure to remove HTTP as well as backslashes, and you can just click on save. After which you'll get the name, which is demo2, and the scheduled task is on demand. You can also schedule the task at the time which you want it to be scanned, but as for this demonstration purpose, we'll be using on demand scan. Next, we'll be clicking on the play button, which will launch Nexus scan. After scanning, you can see the host which we are scanning for is testphp.vulnerweb.com, and the vulnerabilities is listed over here. You can see over here the status is completed, and the start and the end time, and the total time taken for it to scan. And the main important thing is you can see a kind of pie chart over here which says critical vulnerabilities, high, medium, low, and the information vulnerabilities. Our main priority should be first focusing on critical vulnerabilities. So here it is showing PHP unsupported version detection. We'll just look into it. You can see over here it is saying, according to this version, the installation of PHP on the remote host is no longer supported, as well as there are no new security patches for this product released, As a result, it is likely to contain security vulnerabilities. So we need to upgrade the version of the PHP, and you can see it is saying the severity is critical and the version number is given over here, and the last published as well as the modified date is given, and you need to mainly focus on the risk information which is given over here. Here, if the CVSS score is greater than 8, then we can say that the specific service is vulnerable, which means it is highly vulnerable. And if the CVSS score is less than 8, it is we can fix those vulnerabilities in the later stages, but the more importance should be given on the high priority vulnerabilities which are 8 and above. And you can see the vulnerability information is also given here. So in this manner you can do the vulnerability scanning of a specific target website or an IP address. We'll look into more such type of vulnerability scanning in the further videos. Thank you. Hello all. In this video, we'll be looking into two more types of vulnerability scanning tools, which are Nikto and Skipfish. So first we'll be looking into Nikto tool. This can be used to identify server as well as the web application vulnerabilities. It checks for issues as well as the outdated software along with the service versions. The main benefit of this tool is it frequently updates the vulnerability in their databases. So heading on to the practical demonstration, I'll be typing Nikto -h. -h stands for the host, and I'll be specifying the host as testphp.vulnweb.com, which is the testing website, and I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see, it has started the scanning. I have already performed the scanning, and you can see the results over here. It is showing that the target IP is 44.228.249.3 and the host name and the port on which it is scanning for, along with the service and its version. And you can see the vulnerabilities listed over here. It is saying the anti-click X-frame options header is not present, and the X content type option header is not set. So in order to get more further additional information, you can just head over to the link given over here. Next, you can see the crossdomain.xml contains a full wildcard entry and many more. Like, we cannot trust the information which can be said as 100% accurate given by the Nikto, but yes, to some extent you can rely on this tool, but I'll be preferring manual vulnerability assessment than the use of automated tools. So moving on to the next tool, which is Skipfish. This tool mainly focuses on web scraping and finding out the vulnerabilities residing within the target websites. And the main benefit of this is it quickly scans the many subdirectory pages residing within the target website. It also offers various customization options. And the main benefit of using this tool is it generates an end result HTML and JSON report for further analysis. So moving on to the practical demonstration, I'll be typing skip fish and -o, which stands for the output and the directory in which I want the output and the target website. And when I click on enter, it is showing me that file already exists. Okay, I'll be giving some other name. So I'll be typing some guide random name and I'll be pressing on enter. You can see it is showing me 4 options and you can press any key to continue. I'll be just pressing enter. Now it has started scanning and there are 2 types of statistics displayed over here, which is the scan statistics as well as the database statistics. So the scan statistics tells us about the real-time information for which it is scanning for, and the database statistics shows us the information which gets stored in the database after the website gets scanned. So I'll abort the scan and I'll show you the information which I've already scanned for the target website. It is residing in the kit folder and the report is generated in form of HTML. After opening the report, you can see it tells us about the various web application vulnerabilities residing within the target website, and the red stands for the high priority and the level of priority decreases from top to down. And if you want to expand any vulnerability, you can just click on it and you can get the further details. And you can also see there are low risk vulnerabilities like incorrect or missing character set. Yes, you can use these vulnerabilities for further analysis and make sure to mitigate those vulnerabilities in the main website so that our website will be safe from cyber threats. We'll be looking into further modules of ethical hacking and penetration testing in the upcoming videos. Thank you. Hello all. Welcome to the third phase of ethical hacking and penetration testing module, which is exploitation. So in this module, I'll be showing you the practical demonstration of how we can exploit our target system, which in this case, I'll be using Metasploit Build 2. So I'll be performing the exploitation on Metasploit Build 2 machine, which I've already initiated. And the IP address of this machine is 192.168.0.112. So I'll head over to the Kali Linux, and in order to perform any exploitation on the target system, you need to perform a basic nmap scan, after which you need to perform a service version scan, and using the service versions you can find the vulnerabilities, and using those vulnerabilities you can exploit the target machine. So firstly, moving on to the basic nmap scan, I'll be typing nmap and the target IP address, and I'll be clicking on enter. So it is showing me all the open ports as well as the services listed over here, and out of 1000 ports, 977 ports are closed and rest all ports are open. Now I'll be performing a service version scan. By this scan, we can get the versions of the services running within the target system for the ports opened. So in order to perform service version scan, I'll be giving nmap -s capital V, and in order to perform the OS discovery scan, that is the operating system scan, you can give capital O and the target IP address, and I'll be clicking on enter. It is performing the scan. As you can see here, the versions of each and every service is listed, and we'll be finding the vulnerabilities for the version VSFTPD 2.3.4. I already know that this version is vulnerable to exploitation. So, and the operating system details is also given here. It is saying the OS can lie within the version range of 2.6.9 to 2.6.33. Now, we'll be using Metasploitable framework, in which we can find the exploits for the service version VSFTPD 2.3.4. So I'll be typing nsf console and clicking on enter. This will initiate my Metasploitable framework. Yes, now my Metasploitable framework got initialized. Now I'll be searching vulnerability for this version. So I'll be typing search and I'll be pasting it. Now I'll be clicking on enter. You can see this is an backdoor command inject execution vulnerability, and the disclosure date of this vulnerability is given and the rank is excellent. So we'll be using this vulnerability to exploit a target system. So we can simply type use and you can give the index number, which is 0, and I'll be clicking on enter. So now the payload got configured, and I'll be now checking for the additional options which I have to specify. Here, these three are not that important since it is not necessary to be given, but the R host, that is a target IP address, needs to be specified. It is mandatory. So now we'll set the R host, that is the target IP address, which is 192.168.0.112, and I'll be clicking on enter, and finally I'll type exploit, which will run the payload for the given target machine. You can see the exploit is getting executed and it is saying that we got shell. So a Meterpreter session got opened. So now we can execute the commands whichever we want to. We have successfully gained access to a target machine. So first I'll be typing who am I, and it is saying we are the root user. Now I'll be typing ifconfig, and you can see the target IP address as well as the other additional information, and we can see the present working directory, which is pwd. We are in the root, and now I'll be typing ls to list out all the directories or the folders which are there in the root. So you can see there are many folders, and if we want to navigate into any folder, we can just type cd and you can give the folder name. So cd boot, and I'll be clicking ls, and you can see in the boot folder these are all the data which is available. So in this manner we have successfully gained the target through performing an VSFTPD service exploitation. So that's all for now. We'll be looking into more practical demonstration of exploitation in the further videos. Hello all, welcome to the second practical demonstration of exploitation. In this video, I'll be showing you how you can generate a malicious executable file from your Kali machine and run that application in the target system through which you can gain the access. So for this demonstration, first I need to create the malicious executable file, for which I'll be typing the command msf venom, and I'll be specifying the payload, that is Windows meta printer and reverse TCP. Sorry, my bad, the spelling is wrong. Reverse TCP. And next, I'll be specifying the lhost, which is a Kali machine IP address. I'll show you my Kali machine's IP address, which is 192.168.0.110. Next, I'll be specifying the L port, which should be less than 55,535. You can specify any port less than the port, that is 55,535, which I have mentioned. So here I'll be giving 4444 port. And next I'll be specifying the format in which my payload should be generated, that is it should be an executable file. And next, the output which I am expecting should be like cracked game dot exe. Now I'll be clicking on enter. So the malicious application, that is a payload, got generated. It is here. Now this one I'll be executing it in my target machine. So I'll cut this and I'll paste it in var www html, under which I have created a folder known as payload, and here I'll be pasting it. Now I'll be giving or typing this Kali machine's IP address in my target Windows machine. So before typing my Kali machine's IP address, I'll be starting my Apache 2 service, for which I'll be typing service Apache to start. So my Apache 2 service got started. Now I'll be heading over to Windows machine. and I'll be giving my Kali payload path, and you can see the file is listed over here. I'll be downloading this payload, and I have executed this payload, but still I haven't configured anything yet in my Kali machine. So first I need to configure the reverse handler, for which I'll be using the MSF console. Now my MSF console got initiated. Here I'll be typing use exploit multi-handler. This multi-handler is basically used to get the reverse connection if our exploit is successfully executed. So I'll be clicking on enter. So payload got configured. Now we'll be setting a payload that is for Windows, which is Windows Metadata reverse TCP, and I'll click on enter. Now a payload got successfully configured. Now I'll be clicking on show options, what all additional information is required to set. So here it is asking for me to give lhost, which is mandatory. So lhost stands for our local host, which is a Kali machine's IP address. So I'll be giving my lhost as 192.168.0.110. I'm clicking on enter, and next I'll type exploit and execute it. So it is showing it has started the reverse TCP handler on the port 4444. So moving on to the Windows machine, I'll be clicking on run, and you can see the payload is getting executed in my target machine. And yes, we successfully got the reverse shell on our Kali machine. Now in order to get various options which we want to execute in a target system is shown here. Here I'll be typing get UID command, and I'll be clicking on enter, and you can see the name or the host name of a target machine. Next I'll be typing ipconfig to view ipconfig/all to view the MAC addresses as well as the network interfaces to which my target machine is connected to. You can see the information. Next I'll be typing screenshot in order to get my target machine's system screenshot, and it got captured and it is stored in my root directory, and this is the file, and you can see it has captured the screenshot. So you can perform many other things after gaining access to any target system. That's all for now. We'll look into the further modules in the upcoming videos in detail. Thank you. Hello all. Now in this video we'll be discussing about privilege escalation. First we'll look into the theory of privilege escalation followed by the practical demonstration. So what is actually meant by privilege escalation?
Ethical hackers use privilege escalation to identify and fix security vulnerabilities in the systems. This can involve exploiting software vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, or weaknesses residing in the user privileges to gain unauthorized access to a system, typically with the goal of demonstrating potential security risks and helping organizations improve their security posture. So, now we'll discuss about two types of privilege escalations. One is horizontal privilege escalation and the other is vertical privilege escalation. Moving to the horizontal privilege escalation, here an attacker expands its privileges by taking over another account and misusing the legitimate privileges granted to the other user. Whereas in vertical privilege escalation, here the attacker attempts to gain more permissions or access with the existing account which they have compromised. Now, we'll look into the practical demonstration of privilege escalation in the next lecture. Thank you. Hello all. Welcome to the practical demonstration of privilege escalation. I have already gained an initial access to the Windows 11 system, which you can see over here, and I'll show you the IP address of this system. Sorry, for Windows you have to type ipconfig, and as you can see the IP address of the system is 192.168.0.104, and I have successfully gained access to the Windows 11 system. The video I have demonstrated in the previous lectures, you can refer to that. After gaining the access to the Windows system, you need to escalate your privileges in order to gain administrator privileges, or in order to perform more high priority attacks, you need to gain administrator privileges. So in order to do that, there is a default exploit which is available in the metapreter, which is, I'll type the command. Firstly, I'll background the session, the current session. Now the exploit is Windows local bypass UIC fault helper. I'll type the command and I'll show you. Use exploit Windows local bypass UAC, which is bypass users access control fault helper. And after typing the exploit name, you can click enter. It has been configured. Now you can just see the sessions. I guess I need to set the session, so I'll type show options. The session needs to be set over here, so I'll type set. First I'll see the sessions which are available. So the second session is available, so now I'll type set session and 2. Now I'll type exploit. You can see it is gaining the administrator privileges. It is executing the payload, cleaning up the registry key logs. I guess there's some issue. The session has not been created. We'll once again try. Since hyphen L. Yes, we have successfully gained privilege access to the Windows 11 system. Now we can add an additional local user to the Windows system without knowing the target user. So for that, I need to type net user. Let's say I'll type some name as Chandu Hacker, and next after which I should type the password 1234 slash add. Here this name refers to the username of which we wanted to add to the system, and the other thing like 12345 refers to the password which I'm adding it to the local users of the Windows 11 system which have gained access. So I'll click on enter. Sorry, I guess I need to first navigate into the shell, after which I need to type this command. So I'll just copy and paste this command. I'll just navigate into the Windows system and I'll check if the user has been added or not. Yes, as you can see, the here I need to just give some space which I have missed. So net user and the username as well as the password space slash, and after typing add, if you click on enter, you can successfully see that in the user I'll first navigate into the computer management session. Here you can see Chandu Hacker has been successfully added. So now in order to gain, hello all. In this video, we'll be discussing about maintaining access for the target system which we have gained access into, as well as we'll see the practical demonstration followed by the theoretical part. So what is actually meant by maintaining access? Here, once an hacker or an attacker gains access into a system, one of the first things they do is to maintain access. Depending upon the target, gaining access initially may have cost the attacker considerable time, effort, and resources. So, losing access to a computer or system can take several efforts to breach, and it's a waste of time. Sometimes hackers can't just accomplish their goals in a single visit. They may have to take multiple attempts to steal, change, or destroy the information which they're looking for. So, for this purpose, hackers maintain the persistent access into the target system so that after restarting the target system, or if they do some sort of misconfigurations after several days or several months, still they can maintain the access and the hackers can steal confidential information which they want to. So now we'll head over to the practical demonstration of maintaining access. Thank you. Welcome. Now we'll look into the practical demonstration of maintaining access for the target system Windows 11. So moving on, I have backgrounded the session for which I have gained administrator privileges in the previous lecture. Now I'll use the exploit Windows local persistence in order to maintain the access. So I'll type the exploit, that is use exploit Windows local persistence, and I'll be clicking on enter. Now the payload has been configured. Now I'll just click on show options. Here we need to set the required settings. Some are required and some are not that essential. So first we need to set the executable file name. Here we have executed the file name called as crackgames.exe. So I'll set the executable file name as crackgames.exe and I'll click on enter. Now I'll move on to the session 3. Now the session has been set to 3. Next, moving on, I'll want to see the advanced options which are required. Here the main thing you have to remember is we need to set the executable custom path. This is important because instead of automatically generating the payload, this will move on to the custom path and it will execute the required payload which we want to directly without the penetration testers or the hackers access. So now I'll type set exe custom, and here this application, that is my payload, has been located in var www html, and in the payload folder this malicious application is located. So I'll give the destination path, directory path, which is var www html payload. I guess it's payloads or payload. It's payload only. Next, I'll give my file name, that is crackgames.exe. I will click on enter. Now it has been set, after which I'll just click on exploit. As you can see, the exploit has been successfully run on the target system. Now, even after restarting the Windows system, you can still gain the access without actually executing the application within the target system. So now, in order to check if the persistence is working or not, we'll just restart our system. Meanwhile, I'll pause the video and I'll get back after the system restarts. Now you can see my system has been successfully restarted, that is the target system. I'll just log in into the target system. After logging into the target system, now as you can see, the session has been closed as of now. Again, we have to configure the default payloads which I have done previously. So now I am heading over to the Metasploit framework console. Here we'll type the commands which we have done before. As you can see, I have not executed anything in the target system. Use exploit. Here again we need to set the payload. And I'll now click on exploit. Sorry, I guess I need to set the local host also. Localhost 192.168.0.-110. I'll now click on exploit. Yes, now you can see successfully we have gained the Metapredator session without actually running or executing any malicious payload within the target system. We have directly gained the access without any interaction. Now if I click on get UID, you can see the username. Hello all, welcome to the final stage of ethical hacking and penetration testing series. So in this phase, ethical hackers or the pen testers cover their tracks to maintain the connection in the system and to avoid detection by incident response teams or the forensics teams. This phase is very important because by clearing tracks in the target system, the attacker ensures that they won't be detected while any reverse engineering is performed in order to trace the attacker. So, in this phase, why should we consider it as very important phase? Firstly, anonymity. It refers to the protection and identity of ethical hacker. Next comes preventing false alarms. Here, clearing tracks avoids unnecessary security alerts or triggers. Next comes the system continuity. Here, clearing tracks prevent disruptions during testing. Lastly, information security, which means by this phase we focus on vulnerabilities without creating any risks or the danger encountering during ethical hacking. That's all for now. We'll look into the practical demonstration of clearing tracks in the further video. Thank you. Hello all. Welcome to the practical demonstration of clearing tracks. This phase is very important because whenever an attacker tries to attack a system or perform any kind of activity, the logs or the events of each and every attack we perform on the other system will be recorded and stored. This can be viewed in the event handler session. So here, when we move on to Windows logs and when we click on security, I'll just expand the view. After clicking on application, here you can see there are thousands of logs which have been recorded whenever we perform any activity. So similarly in the security tag, you can see there are many logs which have been recorded as well as in the system too. So how can we clear them? So that we'll be discussing now. So in the Kali machine, I have already escalated my privileges, after which I'll be typing simple command which is called as clear EV. By using this command, we can clear all the logs which are recorded within the target system. So after which I'll be clicking on enter. You can see it has cleared nearly 1088 records from application, 1009 records from system, as well as 2397 records from security. Now we'll check if the logs have been cleared or not. I'll again open it. You can see all the logs have been cleared in the application as well as in the security and lastly system, right? So we'll check the system also. Yeah, system logs have also been cleared successfully. So by this manner, the attacker or the pen tester can ensure that he is not detected when any tracing is performed by the forensic experts or the cybersecurity people. Thank you. We'll discuss furthermore attacks in the upcoming lectures. That's all for now. Hello all. Now in this video we'll be discussing about SQL injection attack. So what is actually meant by SQL injection attack? In ethical hacking and pen testing, SQL injection is a technique where security professionals intentionally and legally attempts to exploit vulnerabilities in a web application's input fields or database queries by injecting malicious SQL code. So, what's its goal? The goal is to identify weaknesses and report them to the organization and assist in strengthening the system's overall security posture. Ethical hackers perform these actions with permissions and in compliance with ethical and legal guidelines to improve security rather than for malicious purposes. Now we'll discuss about the workflow process of SQL injection attack. Firstly, input fields. Here, attackers target web application input fields like login forms or search boxes where user data is passed to the database. Next comes the malicious input. Here, attackers input specially crafted data that includes SQL code alongside regular user input. Furthermore, unsanitized data. If the application doesn't properly validate or sanitize input, it may directly insert the malicious SQL code into the database query. Next comes SQL query manipulations. Here, the injected SQL code alters the intended database query, allowing attackers to view, modify, or delete data. Next comes data extraction, wherein the attackers can extract sensitive data from the database such as usernames, passwords, or other confidential information. Lastly, database compromise. In severe cases, SQL injection can also lead to full control of the application's database, server, or even the entire infrastructure of the system. So, what's prevention? To prevent SQL applications, the backend web servers should use parameterized queries, input validation, and input sanitization to ensure user data doesn't interfere with database queries. That's all for now. We'll look into the practical demonstration of SQL injection in the further lectures. Thank you. Hello all. Welcome to the practical demonstration of SQL injection attack. Here we'll be performing attack on the live website which is testphp.oneweb.com, and this website is intentionally made for the testing purpose, so anyone with intention to learn or gain and test the skills could use this website, and it's completely safe to use. So heading over to the site. testphp.oneweb.com. Now I'll be clicking on sign up, and here the default credentials for the username and password are test and test, and I'll be clicking on login. Now I'll be heading over to the artist section, in which I'll be selecting the first artist. Here this website is vulnerable to SQL injection. Now I'll be copying the link or the URL. Next I'll be opening my terminal, and here in order to perform the SQL injection attack, I'll be using the tool known as SQL map. This is pre-installed with the Kali Linux. Now I'll type SQL map -u, which stands for the URL, and I'll be pasting the URL which I have copied. Next, space -,
DBS. DBS stands for databases. So now I'm telling the skill map by specifying an URL, and it will dump all the databases which are available and connected to the web server of this site. Now I'm clicking on enter. It shows me all the databases which are available. So you can see there are two databases which are available. Now I'll be testing on AccuArt database. So in order to find what all tables are located within the database, I'll be typing the command sqlmap, same like before, -u, and I'll be pasting the URL. Next, instead of DBS, now I'll give -D and the database name, which is AccuArt, and I'll specify -tables to dump all the tables which are located in the AccuArt database. Now I'm clicking on enter. Here you can see it has extracted what are tables which are available in the database. You can see there are various tables: artists, cards, featured, guestbook, many more. Now, in order to navigate further or deep dive into, I'll be looking for the columns which are located for a particular table. Let's say artists, or we'll take users. It seems to be more attractive. So we'll be further navigating into users, and we'll be extracting all the columns which are available within the users table. Now in order to do that, I'll be typing the command sqlmap followed by -u, URL, next -d AccuArt, next the table for which I need to extract columns is users, next I'll be specifying the columns which I want in the users table. Now I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see, it has listed out the various columns which are located within the users table. Now, in order to get all the information residing within the columns, I'll be typing the command sqlmap followed by -u and the website URL link, -d the database name, -t that is the table which is users, and I want to dump all the information residing within the columns of users. So I'll be typing -dump and I'll be clicking on enter. It is asking me to store hashes in a temporary file for the evaluation. I don't require it, so I'll be typing n and enter. Do you want to grab them through dictionary based attack? No, I don't want n. Now you can see the information. I guess there's the alignment problem. I'll be again typing the command in the full window. Yeah, now you can see here the name and the password for which, and the email ID which for testing purpose they have given a random thing, and next followed by the phone number and the username as well as the address. So in this manner you can extract the information which is required from any website connected via a database to the web server through this SQL injection attack. That's all for now. We'll discuss about furthermore attacks in the upcoming lectures. Thank you. Hello all. Welcome to the most common type of attack which is known as social engineering attack. So, what's actually meant by social engineering attack? This attack comes under the category of cyber attack where the attacker manipulates or deceives people to gain access to confidential information, systems, or the resources. It relies on psychological tricks and manipulation of humans to exploit victims, often through methods like phishing, baiting, impersonation, or pretexting. Now, let's discuss about the most common types of social engineering attacks, in which the first place goes to phishing. Here, in phishing attacks, attackers typically send deceptive emails, messages, or websites that appear to come from trustworthy source such as bank, government agency, or a well-known company. These messages aim to trick individuals into revealing personal information like passwords, credit card numbers, or other sensitive data. Next comes baiting. Baiting attack involves emphasizing victims to download malicious software by offering something tempting such as free softwares, movies, and music. Once the victim downloads the bait, malware gets installed on the system. Furthermore, we'll discuss about farming. So, farming attacks redirect victims to a fake websites even if they enter the correct website's URL by manipulating the DNS, which stands for the domain name system, or poisoning the host file on their computer. This can lead to data theft and credential compromise. Lastly, wishing. Wishing is the voice counterpart of phishing. Attackers use phone calls to impersonate legitimate entities and extract sensitive information or convince victims to take specific actions. Thank you. That's all for now. We'll discuss the practical demonstration of social engineering attack, mainly phishing attack, in the further video. Hello all. Welcome to the practical demonstration of social engineering attack. In this video, we'll be performing the phishing attack by using the default pre-installed tool, which is SE Toolkit. Without further delay, I'll be heading over to my terminal and I'll be opening SE Toolkit. Here, I'll be selecting option 1 and clicking on enter. Here, from this menu, I'll be selecting the second option, which is the website attack vectors. So basically, in this attack, we'll be cloning a fake website like Instagram, you can say, and when the victim clicks the link and enters his default username and the password credentials, those will be redirected to the attacker's machine, and he can see all the passwords and the username which you have entered, by which he can gain access to your social media accounts. Now, moving on, I'll be selecting option 2. Next, I'll be selecting option 3, that is credential harvester attack method. It's asking me to select web templates site cloner over the custom import. I'll be selecting option 1, which is pre-installed web templates. Here it's asking the IP address for the post pack. So for this option, we need to give our default IP address of our attacker machine, which I'll be showing you, 192.168.0.110. It has already been detected, so we can directly click enter, by which it will default to the IP address of our local machine. Now here in this option, I'll be selecting second template 2, or let's say for the different vibe, I'll be selecting option 3, Twitter. It's cloning the website. It is taking some time. Let's wait. I guess it's already running on the port 80. So I'll be heading over to the Mozilla Firefox browser. Here I'll be giving my local host, which is the default IP address of my attacker machine. Here in the username, I'll give some random, just John, and the password is like brocode12345, and I'll be clicking on sign in. Now you can see over here, whatever we have typed has been recorded, which is the username we have typed, which is John, and the bro code 12345 is the password which we have given. So in order to perform the practical live attack, you can clone the link of any website, and you can use the port forwarding service such as ngrok, which I'll be showing you. You can use ngrok for the port forwarding, and after doing the port forwarding, you can send this link to the victim whom you want to target, and if that person is in the different network also, he'll be able to access your attacker's link, and after entering the default credentials, they will be redirected to your attacker's machine, by which you can get the confidential information of the victim. That's all for now. We'll be discussing furthermore attacks in the upcoming videos. Thank you. Hello all. Welcome to the practical demonstration of SSH brute force attack. In this attack, we know the username, but in this case, we won't know the password. So in order to find the password, we'll be performing a brute force attack. Brute force attack is a kind of guessing different passwords, out of which, if any password exactly matches to what we are looking for, then we can successfully gain access. So this attack I'll be performing on a vulnerable system, which is Metasploit. I have already launched my Metasploitable machine. Here, the default username which I know is MSFadmin. But now I'll try to find its password. In order to do that, firstly, we need to check if the target system which we are looking for is connected within a local network. For this purpose, I'll be using the command netdiscover and I'll be clicking on enter. It has listed out all the systems connected within our local network. Here, I'll be performing my nmap scan on the IP address, which is 192.168.0.106, in order to verify that the system which I'm looking for is metasploitable. Yeah. Here you can see there are different services which are running, out of which there is also a web server which is running on the port 80 and the service is HTTP, and we are looking for this service which is SSH. So what does SSH actually mean? It is a network protocol that allows secure remote access to systems and secure data connection between two systems. And as you can see, the default port used for the service is 22. Now, for this purpose, I'll be using a tool called as Crunch to create a word list of our choice. By using this word list, we can generate a list of the passwords which we wanted to brute force on the target system. So I'll be typing the command crunch followed by the minimum number of characters a password should be in, which is 3. In this case, I'll be giving the value as 3, and the maximum number of length the password which can be is, I guess it's 6. This can be found out, the minimum and the maximum length can be found out in the initial stages where we do information gathering and the steps which we performed in the initial stages. After which, I'll be giving the password which should include the letters as follows. I'll be giving a sample password which includes the letters. Next, I'll be giving the default output which is to be saved and the path for which needs to be given. Here, -o stands for the output and the path where I wanted to store this word list is on desktop, and the name for the file I'll be giving is some pwd.txt. Now I'll be clicking on enter. As you can see, it has generated nearly 2,99,520 passwords. And I'll open the list. You can see all the passwords which it has generated. My password might be in this list, but in order to quickly initiate this process, I'll be typing my password, that is the target system password, which I know already. That is MSF admin. You can also type all the random passwords which you guess might be in this list, and you can click on save. It has been saved. Now, I'll be using the tool known as Medusa in order to brute force on the target system. I will type in the command Medusa -h. Here, I need to specify the target IP address, which is 192.168.0.106, and the username, which I know already, that is msfadmin. Here, if you don't know the username, you need to specify this in capital U, and you can give the default directory or the word list by which you can perform a brute force attack on the username as well. Since I already know the username, so I'll be giving it as msfadmin with the tag small -u. Next, in order to specify the word list password, I need to give capital P and the directory where my word list is located, which is root desktop pw.txt. After specifying the path, I should specify the module name, that is -M, and here the module which we are going to brute force is SSH, and we need to specify the port on which it is running on, that is -n, and the port is 22. Now, after typing the whole command, you can click on enter. It will start to brute force. Now, after generating the password list, I'll be using the tool called as Medusa in order to perform the brute force attack. I will type in the command Medusa -h and the target IP address I need to specify, which is 192.168.0.106, and since I already know the username, which is msfadmin, so I'll be giving msfadmin. If you don't know the username, you can also brute force it by giving capital U and the path on which it is located, that is your word list where it is located, so that you can also try brute forcing the username on the target system. Here, since I already know the username, so I'll be specifying -u and the username is msfadmin. And now we'll be trying to brute force the password. So since we don't know the password, I need to specify capital P and the directory where my word list is located, which is root desktop pw.txt. After which I need to specify the module, that is the service on which we are trying to perform or initiate the attack, for which I'll be typing capital M and the module name is SSH. After which I'll be giving the port on which the service is running, that is by default it's on 22. Now I'll click on enter. It will try to brute force the password on the target system. through SSH protocol. Yeah, you can see the account has been found on the host IP, which is the user, that is MSF admin, and the password, which is also MSF admin. This video is usually this video has been performed only for the demonstration purpose. Please use it for ethical purposes. And if you are performing any kind of these attacks, please ensure that you are performing it in a secure lab environment. And after gaining any legal permissions only, you need to perform these attacks. Thank you. Hello all. Today we're gonna talk about a vulnerability called as session misconfiguration, which exists in most of the modern websites. This vulnerability is basically used by an attacker to steal the cookies or the session ID of a particular user, and it will be used by an attacker in order to gain access or gain an unauthorized login into the user's account. So let's see the demonstration of how we can do it. First, I'll head on to the Burp Suite browser. Here, I'll be selecting a temporary project. This Burp Suite tool is basically used to capture the packets which is sent by any website, which can be interpreted by an attacker. So here I'll be basically turning on the intercept and I'll open a browser. For the demonstration purpose, I'll be heading on to a site which can be used for testing purpose. So first I'll be logging in as an user. For this, I need to turn the intercept on, and it has already provided me the default credentials, which are the username is test and the password is also test. So the original user will be logging into his account by using his credentials. Now once he clicks on login, the attacker on the other end will try to intercept the request which is sent by the website. Now he'll try to intercept the response which is sent by the website to the server. The request which is sent by the website to the server, the response will be interpreted by the attacker. Here we get to know that the cookie is stored over here, and this is unique for each user. So this will be copied by the attacker. Now he'll forward the request. You can see that the cookie has been stolen by the attacker successfully, but he has not used the cookie or the session ID yet. So now uh, I'll just turn off the intercept and I'll basically log out from the original user account. Now here the original user account will be basically logged off from his default account. Now I'll be again turning the intercept on, and next, if you, for example, if we move on to the profiles page, here in the request section, the attacker basically writes a name called as cookie, and he'll paste the session ID or the cookie which is captured while the user was entering his credentials. So this cookie has been pasted over here. Next we'll forward the packet, and next we can see that successfully have logged in into the user's account. And if you want to navigate into some other default tabs, we can do that, like your card section and all. And same here also, we'll be pasting upon the cookie which is captured by an attacker. Here this is the cookie we have captured from the user, and again next, if we are forwarding the packet, it will again show us that the user's account has been logged in by an attacker successfully. By this method, Most of the bank accounts, if the websites are vulnerable, uh, they they are prone to vulnerable through session misconfiguration. So be secure, be safe. Let's protect the world together. Thank you. Hello all. Now in this video, we'll be discussing about the most common attack, which is the MAC flooding attack. So this MAC flooding attack is also known as MAC table overflow attack, which is a network security attack that targets the switches in a local area network. In this type of attack, the attacker floods the network with a large number of Ethernet frames, each containing different source MAC addresses. The objective of the MAC flooding attack is to overload the switch's MAC address table and causing it to enter a state of instability or confusion, potentially leading to the denial of service or other security vulnerability breach. Now let's discuss the workflow of MAC flooding attack. Firstly, switches containing MAC address table. Here, switches maintain a MAC address table that maps each map address to the corresponding physical ports. This table is used to efficiently forward traffic to the correct destination port. Next comes the flood of fake MAC addresses. The attacker sends a flood of Ethernet frames to the switch, each with a different source MAC address. These are often fake. The switch adds each of these MAC addresses to the MAC address table. Now comes the table overflow. As the attacker sends more and more frames with different MAC addresses, the MAC address table on the switch can quickly become full. When the table is full, the switch may enter a state where it doesn't know where to forward frames and it may revert to flooding behavior, which means it sends incoming frames to all ports similar to a hub, which can lead to network cognition and potential security issues. Coming to its impact, the consequences of successful MAC flooding attack can include network performance degradation, disruption of network services, or even the interception of network traffic, which can be a significant risk to the security infrastructure. Now, we'll look into the practical demonstration of MAC flooding attack in the next video. Thank you. Hello all, welcome to the practical demonstration of MAC flooding attack. For this demonstration purpose, we'll be using a tool known as MAC-Off, which is pre-installed with the Kali Linux. Heading over to the terminal, I'll be typing MAC-Off and for which interface I need to perform the MAC flooding attack, I'll be specifying it, that is -I, and the interface on which I want to perform is ETH0. Similarly, I'll also open the Wireshark to capture all the MAC packets which are coming from different fake sources. I'll be selecting the interface which is ETH0. It has already started capturing packets. Now, after typing this command, I'll be clicking on enter. It is telling me, do you want to install it? Yeah. I guess it's not pre-installed in the Kali Linux. In the latest versions, I think we need to install it manually, but for the older versions, it comes pre-installed. Now, I'll be again typing the command and I'll be clicking on enter. You can see it has started the Mac flooding. It is generating a huge number of packets and sending these from different fake sources to the switch, which is located within a local area network. I'll be stopping this. And you can see in the Wireshark there are thousands of fake MAC addresses coming from different sources, and these are occupying the memory in the switch, by which after the switch gets the memory filled, which leads to the state of buffer overflow, it will distribute all the network traffic to all the ports which are connected to it. Thereby, the attacker can intercept the sensitive traffic or network packets. That's all for now. We'll be looking into more practical demonstrations of further attacks in detail in the upcoming lectures. Thank you.
Hello all. Congratulations on successfully completing the ethical hacking and penetration testing course. I'm so proud of each and every one of you for your hard work and dedication. I know that this course was challenging, but you have always shown the never give up attitude. You also demonstrated a strong commitment towards ethical hacking and penetration testing, and I'm confident that you'll use your skills to make this world a safer place. Consider this course as an crash course, and I'll be updating all the other content modules soon. I encourage you to continue learn and growing. This cybersecurity landscape is constantly evolving, and you need to stay updated with the latest threats and trends. You can also stay updated by practicing CTFs on TryHackMe, listening to security podcasts, which can be on Spotify, as well as reading news on the hackernews.com website. I am confident that you will always be successful in your careers, and I wish you all the best. Yours sincerely, Chandrakant. Thank you.